Good evening, everybody.
How
Hey, what's
is
up?
it going?
Mr. Burman, thank you for joining us tonight, sir.
Nice intro.
Thank you.
You guys
So,
are weird.
We try to be.
Yeah.
If you're not weird, you're not right. How's everybody's day been?
Good.
Been pretty good. Can't
Busy
complain.
as always.
So let's go to the chat. We got Max
Max.
Padron. Thanks for joining us. Let's get this party. Yeah, we're already started. Green Geek, thanks for joining us. Oogity boogity, triple of toys as always.
Trippin was at the one I did on
Let's go
IG
for it.
last night. He's everywhere.
Let's go for it. Thanks for joining us, man. So we have there's you, Austin.
Yeah.
A very special guest tonight. We have Mr. Robert Burman. Visual effects.
I in LA.
Visual effects extraordinaire genius. Again, I've been looking over your work, man, and wow, just wow.
I've had quite a career for 45 years.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I will say that it's this industry is as much luck as it is ability and talent, and
Right.
it's not always who you know as much as it is what who you know will do for you. And I've been pretty lucky that the people that I know have helped me out quite a bit. So I consider that a great thing.
Well, it's always good to be able to find the people that can get you in, and then kind of guide you along your way, and get you where you need to go.
Well, sure, because you may know some people. Oh yeah, I know this person and that person and whatnot. But if they're not willing to help you, then that doesn't really do any good at all. So
Let's see.
You never know who's going to be the next big thing. So, even on shows with the lowliest PA or things like that, that guy all of a sudden is the assistant to some great director, and if you are next to him, you're not going to get on that show.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I remember you.
Yeah.
So, Shire Nerd, thanks for joining us. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, the more people you step on, the more people that's going to stop you later on in life, because, like you said, you never know where they're going to go, where their career is going to lead, and that page or that the gopher guy. He could be the next big director out there. And
my dad got an invitation to go to a birthday party for Danny DeVito.
Oh, wow.
And my dad's not really the social type and things like that. Yeah, I don't want. His wife was like, "We're going." Well, so we went, and he's like, "I'm not going to know anybody there really." And he goes in, and he had done Throw Mama from the Train with Danny, so he knew him, and he started walking around and talking to different people and things like that, and he realized that he'd actually worked at one time or another with almost everybody in the room.
Wow.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember you from this, and weren't you the production assistant on, and so, and now that guy was a producer. So, you never know who's going to be who eventually. So. It's
Yeah,
worth it to be good to people.
yeah. It's always it's always good to be the positive one. You're gonna have negative days, but try to. It's always good to try to have more positive days than negative days, especially to other people.
Sure.
Um,
Don't blame them for the negative day.
no,
Yeah.
no.
It's
You
not
can,
their problem.
yeah, you control your negative, not anybody else. So that's why I try to explain to my kids, and then they yell at me and I cry, but it's okay.
Yeah, but you're always going to cry when your kids yell at you.
Yes, this is true.
That's why I'm the kid.
So, you've had, like we said, you had quite an illustrious career, but like, how did you get your start? Like, what was your catalyst to going this route?
I'll be honest and say, growing up, even though I was around it, I really didn't have a desire to do it. You
Right.
know, I wasn't I wasn't really a fan as fans go. You know, it was really convenience for me, which is strange. People fight tooth and nail and give an arm and a leg to be able to be in this industry, and I was like, sounds interesting, but
Right.
uh, my family goes back to my grandfather, who in the 1930s used to sculpt monuments and things like that in Nebraska and things. He would do the city seal for the mayor and things, and he
Oh wow.
sculpted
Okay.
some really big stuff for a war memorial in Nebraska, and another big thing called smoke signals, which is a almost 30-foot tall cement Indian sending smoke signals. He did that, and then he decided that he'd like to try his hand in Hollywood and see if things could go. So he packed up the family and moved out here into California. One of his first jobs was a movie carousel where he had to sculpt carousel horses. And so he was doing that, and eventually prop makers found out who he was and said, "Well, can you sculpt this? Can you sculpt that?" And one guy came to him and asked, "Can you do a cane for us? We need to have a cane that's styled like a wolf,
Hmm.
a star in it and all of that. What's going to be for the lead to walk around with in the movie?" And he's like, "Okay." So he did that thing, and it turned out to be for the Wolfman. And it's the cane
When she started
for
explaining it, I was like, "Yes,
the
I know
movie.
exactly what came
Yeah,
next."
my brain was turning. It's like,
Yeah. So he was on set with that, and he met Jack Pierce, and Jack Pierce was the kind of guy who did build-up makeups on the actor. He didn't sculpt and mold ahead of time. He didn't cast parts and all. And he found out my grandfather did that. My grandfather was making rubber guns and rubber knives and fake food and all that kind of stuff. So Jack said, if you don't tell anybody, I can keep you busy. And so he started doing the stuff for Jack Pierce. Any of the later sequels of all the Universal horror films, where it was obviously a mask, like for the Mummy or things like that, or the rubber
yeah,
noses for the Wolfman and whatnot. My grandfather started doing all of that stuff for Jack Pierce. At the same time, he was helping people like Don Post Mask Studios sculpting things, and taught Don Post Senior how to actually do production line mask making so that he could make more than one or two a day.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
wow.
and so he did that, and he sculpted a big uh, King Kong for him that's up in Niagara Falls in a museum. And while he was doing that, my father came in to help him because as my father was growing up, he uh, um, he would help my grandfather in the shop during the summer when he wasn't in school. He had to sweep the floors and clean molds and do all that stuff. So the guys at Post said, "Hey, they're doing a apprenticeship program over at 20th Century Fox. You should go see if you could get on that." So my father left the shop right away, went down and applied. He was one of 100 applicants to do the apprenticeship program, and they only picked 3 people, and my dad was one of them. And they picked him because he had lab experience working, making molds and all of that stuff. So, so he was there working under Ben Nye Sr. And basically, the apprentices cleaned up. They cleaned brushes. And when a makeup artist was done working with a brush, he'd throw it over his shoulder, and they'd have to go by and pick it up and clean it up. You know, if there wasn't enough to do, he washed cars for them. You know, he did whatever they needed them to do. And one day, Ben Nye comes in with a script and says, "This is a big one. We've got to get the best guys. Who did this? Who did that? You know, who did the list of Adrian Messenger?" Somebody would say, "Well, that was the Westmores." And my father piped in and said, "Well, actually, John Chambers did all the lab work and stuff like that for that show." And they said, "Do you know how to get a hold of him?" He says, "Yeah, he lives kind of near me, and call him up, get him in here. We need to interview him." So John Chambers came in to interview and came out with the script and said, "We're going to win an Oscar, boy." And that was John's big deal. "Hey, boy, get over here," you know. And so John picked my dad out of all the apprentices and said, "Come help me with this, and we'll do the prototypings for this next big job." And they started on a 4 by 8 foot table in the back of the lab. They gave him just a little space and everything, and they wanted him to do apes. So it turned out that it was Planet of the Apes.
The apes, yeah.
And my dad was basically his right-hand man through that whole show. And so they ended up doing Planet of the Apes and the sequels and things like that. When John approached my dad and said, "We need to go and open a studio somewhere. We can't do the work we need to do under the eyes of the studio, of the big studio system." And my dad's like, "Okay, well, I'd love to." And he brought his brother, my uncle Ellis, in on it. And my uncle and my dad and John started the John Chambers Studio. And the reason they did that was because John had a contract with the CIA. They were doing disguise makeups and training agents. And so they couldn't do that at, Fox, still be secret. So they started doing that in the early 70s, and that turned into training agents for, if anybody'd seen the movie Argo, it was that. John Chambers was played by John Goodman in that movie. And, if you'd kind of metaphorically panned left just a little bit, my dad would have been standing right there, But, the agent in charge didn't really care much for my dad. And my dad was too aloof and having fun and enjoying the process and all that. So they did all that and helped get the hostages out of Iran, But shortly after that, John retired, went into semi-retirement, took the CIA contract with him, and left the studio with my dad and my uncle. So they made it the Burman studio, and they started doing things and making things that had never been done before. Like they were the first ones to put radio controls in a creature suit. They made hop, hop, one of the Australian animals, my brain.
Kangaroos?
Kangaroo. And so they made a kangaroo for the film Matilda, and about a boxing kangaroo. And so they started doing that, and my dad did a lot of the stuff for the incredible two-headed transplant, the Rosie Greer, Ray Milland thing, and the first essentially radio-controlled talking head for a show. So my dad and my uncle were prototyping and designing all this stuff that had never been done before. I'm terribly sorry. That's
Oh, no worries.
my phone. Anyway,
What was your father's name, if I may ask?
Tom Burman. So
Okay.
my uncle Ellis and my dad Tom Burman, they created all that stuff in the '70s. They were some of the first guys. They well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Um, Shortly after that, I was in high school and I was seeing all my friends making money, and I thought, I want to make money. What can I
Money's
do?
nice.
So they were bus boys and cleanup guys and working in the markets and stuff like that. And so I thought, well, I got a job working as a night janitor, cleaning office buildings, and that sucked.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
awful.
The first one
Uh,
usually does.
yeah. So uh, so then I got another job shortly after that. I was a dishwasher for an ice cream parlor, Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor here in California. And I thought, this too sucks. So I went to my dad and said, well, I'm still in school. I can't work for you all the time, but how about I come in nights and clean your shop? It's a mess. It looked like a Sanford and Son decor. It was stuff everywhere. And so I said, I can clean your shop 2 or 3 nights a week with my best friend Dale, who had taken the other jobs with me as well. And we started cleaning the shop at night. And then I'd be in school the next day. And remember, there's no cell phones, there's nothing digital
Yeah.
or any of that stuff. And I would be in class, and somebody from the office would come in with a note wanting me to go to the front office. I'm like, what did I do? So I'd go in there, and there'd be a phone call for me. It'd be my dad. Where did you put this? Where did you put that? Need this thing. And I'd be like, well, I put it here. I put it there. I never saw it, whatever. And he'd say, well, come in after school. And I'd be like, well, I was going to go hiking after school. No, come in after school. So I started coming in after 3 o'clock in the afternoons, and I stocked and cleaned and moved molds and poured 5-gallon containers of solvents into 1-gallon containers, and just did all of that to support, clean up, and do whatever anybody needed me to do.
Right.
Well, what that taught me to do was what the materials were, what they were made of, what they were used for, how to clean them up, what they're broke down with, and all of the things that I needed to know without actually doing the work.
Yeah.
I liken it to the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. I didn't get to do anything for real, but I was learning the processes throughout the whole thing.
You think
And
that was your dad's plan all along? Kind of teach you
not
inadvertently like that?
I don't think my dad had enough of forethought to think about that. And I was still not interested, other than to make money with my friends
Right.
and things. Um, so when I graduated high school, I just stayed, and then I was working full time. My best friend Dale was still in high school, so he would come in after school, and I had learned everything in the morning, and I would have to teach him what to do. Look, we have to do this, we have to do that, and so I started training all the people that came to my dad's shop and how the things were done in our studio, because everybody does things differently. So we did that, and we did movies like Happy Birthday to Me and My Bloody Valentine, and
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
just things like that. My dad was doing Popeye, at least originally, and then it moved on into The Beast Within and Cat People, and then he laid me off.
Oh,
There was no more work in the shop, so he was going to take a vacation, so he let me go. And like the next day, he got a call from his friend Kenny Diaz, who said, "We need somebody to run foam over here. Do you have anybody?" And by that time, my dad had taught me basic mold making and essentially how to run foam, because running foam was the the easiest thing to get good at, the fastest.
right.
So I went in and I was doing all the foam latex work on these shows for him, and so then, they sent me over and I met with this guy, Eric Jensen, and talked to him. He's like, well, do you know anything about large amounts of foam? Like, oh yeah, we've done some pretty good amounts, pretty good sizes things, and which we thought was big, but it turned out to not be because that show ended up being The Thing.
Oh,
And that was my first
wow.
time in the real world outside of my father's studio. By the end
Okay.
of that show, I'm like, well, maybe I could do this. Maybe this is something I could make money at. I was making $500 a week cash, no
Wow.
deductions. It was great,
Yeah.
for $1980, I was happy. So
That was good money.
so after that show was over, I went back to my dad's. We did Halloween 3. We did some other commercials and things like that. And by that time, I was pretty much doing the work and heading out and doing what I do now. So yeah,
Nice.
The Thing basically really cemented it for me
Yeah.
and gave me my start. They trusted us. I mean, I was 19 years old. They trusted us to make everything out of rubber for a big, giant, multi-million-dollar film. And so I consider myself really lucky in that I was in the right place at the right time for all these projects. The Thing
that
got me
is-
Ghostbusters. It got me The Fly. It got me Batman Returns. It got all of these shows that I was able to be on was really because of that.
That is definitely a phenomenal movie to get a start on.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Now because it's still in my mind unsurpassed in the greatness of physical effects.
Yes.
Definitely.
Even computer effects, CGI and stuff, hasn't really held a candle to that.
No.
No, and the problem with CGI is that you've got to if you want CGI to look real, you've got to have a blend of practical effects so that way the CGI doesn't stand out. And most
Yeah.
companies want to
Otherwise,
just
it's
take
just a really well animated cartoon.
exactly,
much.
and most film studios it seems just want to like save as much money as they can, so they just do it all in CGI, and then you're left with something that ages terribly
Right. Yeah.
and doesn't hold up.
Because
But
it's cartoon.
you can go back to those films that use practical effects and they still hold up and look really good. The ones done well, like The
Yeah.
Thing.
I
And
go back and watch a lot of 80s films because, when you see a car crash in an 80s film, it's a car crash.
Yeah.
Like the Blues Brothers movie,
Oh my God.
the impact,
Yes.
you just feel it, and then nowadays, a car crash, um, though I love it in Deadpool, those movies, they use it really well, but
Yeah.
now every car crash is a slow motion ballet where
Yeah.
Yeah.
going like this. You see a cigarette lighter fly through the air, all that stuff. It's just, and
there's no
go
impact.
back to normal thing, and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, that I didn't feel that at all. It didn't
Yeah.
mean it. So
All right.
Without
We've been kind
anything
of ignoring
practical,
the
it
chat.
loses its weight.
Yeah, we've been ignoring the chat, so let's get to it. So Trippin' Toys says, "Hi, I'm in Nebraska."
go to Lincoln. You'll be able to see the war memorial that my grandfather did. Smoke signals. He's got quite a bit there. The art association there even does kind of a tour for my family when we go there. Oh, this is your grandfather's stuff,
Oh
and
wow.
the kind of celebrities there.
We're gonna come back to that.
I've still never been.
Zach, what's up, Zach? Thanks for joining us. Jason, thank you for joining us, man.
Ooh, I am a manly man.
What's up, Matt? Thank you for joining us. Anime figure statue collector. What's up, man? Vico, thanks for joining us, man. Let's see. Anime, yep, he's in California
Yep.
and
we
on
won't get
vacation.
I was about to ask how were you enjoying the vacation? Because the scenery he posted the other day that he was going on it.
Let's see. All right, we did have a question from Vico. What is your favorite type of horror movie?
Or movies.
Oh boy, this is scary because with what I do for a living, tearing people's heads off and disemboweling them and doing all the things like that, and I've worked on quite a few horror films. I'm not really a big horror movie fan. My favorite movies, and as much as I bag on CGI, I like Pixar.
Love Pixar.
You know,
Yeah.
Love Pixar.
Up and Toy Story and
Love
That's my
Toy Story.
favorite.
all that stuff. I could watch those all day long and be perfectly happy. You know, but horror movies and things like that, other than watching them to see what my friends did to, see if it worked or not,
Right.
I can take them or leave them.
Kind of become oversaturated with it.
Yeah, well, even like haunted houses and things, I never
Yeah.
really cared much for those. I don't really like to be scared, and now because I know so much about it, they don't scare me. I'm much more analytical of it. So, unless the movie's really good, my favorite horror film would be the first Halloween.
Same. That is my absolute favorite.
You don't see anything in it. There's a trickle of
No,
blood down her arm. That's it.
Yep.
But
it's
Yeah.
that movie
it's the
scared the living
suspense.
shit out of me.
Yes, it's the
I was
suspense and
sitting
the
between
atmosphere.
I
It's
was sitting
Yeah.
incredible.
between three women, well, three girls, high school girls, because I was in high school. Um, and they grabbed a hold of me like I was their savior, and I'm like, I'm not gonna save you.
I'm not
Nope.
saving nothing. Let's see.
I
It's
like
like
the
shoot.
scene in Friday the 13th, the first one, when she's dreaming in class and she sees her friend being dragged in the body bag down the hallway. That's some really
Oh,
great
yeah,
moment.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
That's great. Not Friday the 13th. See, that's how much I know about them. I mix them all.
Let's see. Anime says he likes the body horror.
Mm.
Let's see. All right. At the final, when they showcase the movie, movies that you were like, I'd change that to this or something similar. So, has there ever been a movie you worked on where you went back, took a look at it, and said, I don't think that quite worked for me. I would have done this differently.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that if I had the money and wanted to do it myself, then I can make that decision. You know,
Yeah.
I respect a filmmaker's path to get what they want, and if I think it should have been different, well, then I should put up the money and do it myself. You know, this is the movie they wanted to tell, and they wanted to tell it this way, and I'm good with that. You
Yeah.
know. Um, I look at
Maybe
it
what
more as
he's
did the effect work or not? You know,
yeah.
did it look like it should have worked? When I see the thing, even today, I've seen it on the big screen a few times in recent years, and the entire Norris chest bursting sequence
Hmm.
is just unrivaled. It's just
Yeah.
and all this stuff is happening, and then the head stretches off the table and turns
Falls and crawls away.
crawls away, and you're like, "Oh my god!" That stuff was inspired to me.
Yeah.
You know,
That's why it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I absolutely love that movie.
yeah.
So
It's
Trippin says,
it's
will
great.
you adopt him?
Yeah, sure. If you like cleaning the shop.
I would come clean the shop.
Let's see. Blues Brothers car crash scenes are the best.
They certainly are.
Mhm.
What was your favorite project and why?
Every one of them has got great things to talk about them, and every one of them has their horror stories. So I don't really have a favorite so much as you know. My favorite stuff is the stuff that everybody likes. I think Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is a film I can go back to at any time, at any point in the movie. Just it goes on, and I'll watch the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I think that one to me is sort of the pinnacle of what we do and entertainment combined. It's funny as hell. When I read the script for it, when over a Thanksgiving break, I thought this is going to be a good movie. this is going to be funny as hell, and it was, it was, everything about it was great. And it was lightning striking just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But I also fly. I like Batman Returns. I like, all of these other films. I think that if you want to talk about a film that we did, particularly in my company, where I was the designer and the head person along with my wife Jennifer, I go back to the Power Rangers. As much as it's cheesy kids fare, it's still some of our best work. Doing superheroes like that is
yeah.
next to impossible, and making somebody look like a Ferrari on screen is not an easy task. We spent 3.5 months, feeling like we were going to be sued every day because we didn't know if we were pulling it off or not. So when we saw it, it was like, oh, thank God, it worked.
Let's see. Trevin says he's been there. I live 45 minutes from Lincoln.
Ah,
Um,
one of
what's
these.
up, Ed? Happy birthday to you, sir.
Happy birthday.
Today is Ed's birthday. What's up, Fade Hammer? Thanks for joining us. What is your favorite medium to work with?
Give me clay and I'll sculpt all day for the rest of my life. Don't even care if I don't get to mold it or anything like that. I would always play with clay. That's my favorite thing in the world to do.
Let's see. Rob Burman, holy cow, your latex recipe was taped to the side of all the latex ovens in all the shops I worked at in Montreal, Quebec.
My mother inherited who was Charlie Schramm, who invented the foam latex. Well, he didn't invent it. He inherited it from George Powell, and then he modified it himself. And then our family bought it, and my mother used it to start her company, Burman Industries, which now supplies, everybody's stuff all over the place, all over the world.
Wow.
And so when she first started doing that, I was making the raw components for her, and kind of came up with the run formulas and schedules and all of that for people. So I hear that a lot. I'll still find, an old run schedule that I came up with back in the 80s, in people's shops and stuff. I was really lucky that I got to be a part of that as well.
That's crazy. All right, so he has another question. When was the last time you actually physically ran foam latex?
Yesterday.
There you go, Fade Hammer.
I've got a
We're
question
slacking.
from
company
one of my
probably
family
there,
members.
Sorry?
I've got a question from one of my family members in regards to Ghostbusters.
Sure.
So they want to know if you invented the slime in Ghostbusters.
No, that was long before me. That's
Long
just
before?
basically methacellulose.
Gotcha.
It's a powder they derive from plant fiber that when you mix it with water gets thick and gooey and all of that. So they've been doing that, God, I don't know, since the dawn of time, as far as I know.
Since it was first invented, it was the best and most used effect, I believe. Let's see.
What's so great about it? If you froth it up with a syringe and everything, it's perfect monster spit.
Yep. Let's see. I feel like latex, even today, can have a better appearance than silicone. Silicone kind of has a computer-generated look almost.
Yes, I kind of agree. If a makeup is subtle enough, very thin, old age, really, really close to the face and all of that, it moves well and looks great. Looks great to the eye because it has that translucency that skin can have. And when done right, it looks very realistic. But if you start to get more than like an eighth to a quarter of an inch of thickness, all of a sudden you put a forehead on a guy and it's like he's been Botoxed. It doesn't move. It goes up and down, but it doesn't wrinkle and do all this. So it's very stiff and whatnot. Whereas foam latex always moves with your skin, does everything you want it to do.
It
And
maintains that lifelike quality.
yeah, absolutely. It's supple. It moves even more than you might think that a regular face would move. Um, I agree. I think that a well painted foam latex piece will be as good as any silicone piece out there.
Let's see. Totally agree here. Way too translucent. Everyone wanted to use when I left the industry like 10 years ago.
The thing is, people do underpigment their thing because you look at skin, it's not clear.
No.
But when you do a silicone piece, if there's not enough pigment in it, it starts to look like wax.
Yeah.
And everybody tries to get the translucency, and it's like, when my brother, who's an incredible artist too, my brother Barney, when we were doing Star Trek in 2009, everything that he did, he would opaque it out with white first, just squirt a bunch of white into it and make it opaque before he even started pigmenting it because it just looked more real.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a candle. People don't look like a candle. Though I did work on one kid when I was in London doing demos, and this kid's skin was so translucent, it looked like he was made of wax.
Wow.
And I'm like, how do you paint that color? How do you paint rubber to look like it's clear? Every time I put makeup on him, it looked like it was floating off of his skin, in the air. It's really, really hard.
You are freaky. I'm not working with you anymore.
Actually, you need no effects put on you.
Yes. You were good to go. Just go on stage.
That was my great training as far as coloring foam latex prosthetics. Was that show that I was doing in London? It was a makeup artist trade show, so people would just come by and I'd stick ears on them. I did 28 pairs of ears in 2 days.
Wow.
And somebody would sit down like this kid who was clear, and then the next guy would sit down. He'd be ebony Nigerian, darkest skin you'd ever seen in your life. And then, I'd get an Indian guy and other French guys and English guys and 28 different kinds of skin pigments in 2 days taught me a lot about how to make something look realistic quickly.
Right.
That way, because I only had about 20 minutes with each person, so you got to move fast.
That's crazy.
Great.
Let's see. Man, you have to have a set kit ready for all skin types. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Your kit needs to be able to, and in fact, I've done shows with just what's called a 24 color rubber mask grease palette from Cryoline in Germany. They've got a massive amounts of colors in that palette. That was what I used for doing all 28 different people. You don't have to have a million different kinds of makeups and styled things like that. Especially if you're painting rubber, it's got to be something that's compatible with rubber. Straight makeups and things that people use for foundations and whatnot for regular beauty makeups won't work on foam latex. So you've got to have the right makeup colors to begin with. And then, know how to mix your colors.
Definitely. All right, last question, and then we're going to get back into everything. Let's see. Did you or do you ever work on dioramas / miniatures? All the toy photo people love a good dio. Yes, we do.
Well, yes, but all of my dioramas and things were done mostly when I was in school because I could do those for a book report rather than having to do an oral report. I could come in with my diorama of an Indian village, or things like that. And my mother, one of the things that helped me, and I didn't realize it until much later, but my mother did miniatures, dollhouse things. And
oh, wow.
To keep us occupied during rainy days and things like that in the house, we would help her on her miniatures and making things and make bookshelves and all this different stuff just for all of her miniatures. So that taught me a lot, as much as what my dad taught me. And
Right.
I didn't really even think about it that my mother did that, but she did some beautiful doll houses. You know.
That's awesome. All right, let's see. What's up, Alberto? Thanks for joining us. Dead Man, thanks for joining us, man. So your whole family seems to have been like generations in this field.
Yeah, well, three generations. My grandfather being a prop maker and scenic artist. My my dad being a makeup artist. His brother Ellis being a makeup artist and a machinist doing mechanical effects and things like that. He machined all of the parts that were real metal, real mechanical stuff for the first Terminator. You know, Stan
Wow,
Winston
yeah.
hired him to do that, and then Stan sculpted some pieces that fit over it. But the main puppet, the main character, was all my uncle's work. You know,
That's crazy.
yeah.
All right, so sorry to sidetrack you, but this guy is a personal inspiration.
Who is?
I think he's talking
I
about
think he
you.
was talking about gold.
Me.
But okay, so you built this knowledge, from learning from your family, your father, your mother, your uncle, your brother, you yourself having. It seems like just it's in the blood and a natural talent to you. And I believe you also run a school, correct?
Once I got to a point in film where I was getting a little bit burnt out on the 4 a.m. calls and the long hours on sets and things like that. Um, and competition started growing a lot, and I wasn't getting as much work as I had been getting prior. Yeah, I decided that I was going to teach because hell, I taught everybody that came into my dad's shop the what our methods were, so I might as well see to that. And in 2009, I started working for the Joe Blasco School, which was the first makeup school that was ever founded. And I started, he didn't have a curriculum, so I
Mhm.
just, well, this is the curriculum. I invented it. I came up with my thing, and now I've got 1, 2, and 4 week classes, basically teaching anything anybody really wants to know. The 4 week class is a butt kicker, though. It's a full head and shoulders character that everybody creates, and I do one along with them, and they just follow me. They do their own design, but they do the same processes and whatnot. And
And
that
that would be
that was great.
this
Yeah,
one, correct?
laboratory now. So that's a silicone piece right there that you see, and it shows you what can be good about silicone. The edges are amazing, and
Yeah, those are blended well.
it does give you great light bounce and stuff like that. But then this one's a foam latex piece. This is the Carl Fredrickson from Up. I
That's so
That's
cool.
amazing.
makeup, and that was he can't walk 10 feet when he's in that makeup without people stopping him and mobbing him for photographs.
Yeah.
We walked him up and down the Hollywood Walk of Fame and that kind of thing. So it was fun. These are students' works, what my students can pull off in essentially these are all 1 week classes. Oh, the bottom one with the scars on the left is a 2 week class because they're multiple pieces that overlap and puzzle piece together.
Okay.
So yeah, my students show me some really amazing stuff. I have a push toward realism, and I want everybody to try and do realistic stuff because that's 90% of a makeup artist's work is realism. But some of them
Yeah.
come in and want to do fantasy and other things like that, and I'm not going to discourage them. But I figure if you learn realism first, everything you do will be real. But if you learn fantasy first, you're never going to be able to pull off realism. That's going to
Right.
always elude you. And your first job when you go out into the world is going to be something realistic, and you're going to go,
Yeah.
damn,
I'm not sure how to do that.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
these
just
are
not working
This
like
is-
that. I do it here in my Los Angeles lab. Primarily, all those were done here, but I also do what I call my European tour, um, where we go to Vienna and Berlin, and this year we included Brussels, and we've been to Cologne and things like that. And we do a 1 week course there, and they really seem to like it a lot. I've been doing it since 2017, and they keep getting students to bring me back. So happy to go.
so these classes. Are
Yeah,
they online or are these ones that you
live
have
and in
to
person.
live in person?
You know,
Okay.
you can read books and you can do online. The Stan Winston School has online classes and all of
Yep.
that. But there is nothing like having a person that's a professional looking over your shoulder and going, "No, not like that, like this." You
Yeah.
know, it makes
Getting
all
that the immediate feedback.
exactly, exactly. And I
So
expanded into mask making, mold making classes, and my silicone molds classes and whatnot. I'm trying to provide anybody with anything that they want to know.
so anybody in the chat, if
Question
you're
there about
interested,
3D printing impacting the industry
let's see.
by F8 Hammer. Still floating clay for multiple piece makeups. Absolutely.
Okay.
3D printing is still in its infancy at this point. It's not the primary way to go, but some people are integrating all of that. Some people are not doing life casts anymore. They'll scan the person and have it printed, which is great, and I like the process, and I think it's great. But if I do your life cast in the morning, by the end of the day, I've got sculpture going on a copy of the person's face. But if you're doing it as a scan and 3D printing it, it's 2 or 3 days before I get that person's face.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
90% of my jobs, are going to be maybe a week long. You've got to have a prosthetic by the end of the week, and there's just not the time to do it, with 3D printing and all.
Yeah.
It still works, but it's not not my primary way of doing it, and I don't do it that way. I'm a hands-on guy, and I don't push buttons. I physically use tools and make things.
So here's a good question from Trippin. Did he ever see any of the episodes of the TV series Face Off?
Sure, I saw all of them. All my friends were the judges, so I figured I might as well watch it. And then on a few episodes, my students were their contestants. I had the one Korean girl who did some really wild stuff. I think on season 3, that did well. Got about halfway through, but they're more about. It's not really a test of your skills, other than can you get this done in essentially 16 hours? They had to do it everything.
Right.
Which is insane.
Oh,
Insane.
absolutely insane, but they pulled it off. My friend Mark Vignello was running all the foam for that show, and he'd get a mold at the end of the night, and he'd have to have foam pieces for them the next day. Well, normally you got to bake a mold out overnight just to be able to get good foam pieces. So
Yeah.
he really had his work cut out for him and did some wonderful stuff for that show.
Wow. All right, and another website you have is Sticks and Stones Effects.
That's my effects company. That's what I do. All of my shows, my works through on productions and stuff is done through that company. As you can see right there, my Power Ranger costumes and stuff. That was a great marriage between my wife's technology, she's a costume designer, and what I do in makeup, because they were all built the same way you would build an overlapping makeup where pieces had to puzzle together and work. They wouldn't give us the actors to body cast them or any of that stuff. We did get their head cast done so we could make the helmets, but other
Right.
than that, we had to kind of we would have them come in at night after they were done shooting on the TV series and piece their costumes together on them, as quick as we could, and then they would leave and we'd go and we'd have to detail and fix and clean up the costume. So it was one of the hardest jobs I ever had, really.
Well, there's a bunch of people in all of our groups that love this movie. So,
Yep.
and we still watch
We do.
Power Rangers to this day.
Yep.
I was definitely not of the age group, but all the people I meet now just kind of their jaws drop when they find out that we did it.
So I assume you did all like the monster
Which were
effects.
given to us and the boots which were given to us, but we had to detail and make add-ons and stuff for all of those parts.
Right.
Everything is completely handmade by us.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. So you've won the Monkey King.
That was a show that never got made, really. We went and did prototypes and we did some test footage in China for a month, and then by the time that they got their proverbial shit together, we did a contract with them, and this is the interesting thing with the Chinese. They signed a contract with us, and then I got over there to start, and they said, "Okay, what do you really need?" And it was like, it's in the contract. And after 2 weeks of trying to fight them to get my crew to come over and whatnot, we left the project, and then the project never got made. 2 years later, I heard people still hadn't been paid.
Wow. Let's see, I Caveman, the Hunchback.
I came on because we got to take and do, like it says, 35,000-year-old Paleolithic costumes the same way they would have done them back then. We got, big skins of leather and furs and things, and made ourselves big, essentially a replacement for bone needles. But with my wife and her abilities, we made real caveman costumes, and then they stuck them on people and put them out in the wild for 10 days to see if they could survive, which they didn't. I mean,
they're still looking for those actors.
If the production wasn't there to help them.
See, the Hunchback.
That was for another one for my class. I wanted to do my take on the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but I wanted him to be. I like doing mashups of crazy, weird characters, and I wanted my Hunchback to be the world champion miniature golf pro.
Yes.
Because what better person to be a miniature golf pro than a Hunchback? I mean, he's already got
the form down.
It was perfect. It was great. He was a lot of fun to do.
Hudsucker Proxy.
My wife made the wings for Charles Durning and some flying harnesses and whatnot for anytime people had to, fly through the air and things like that. That was a really difficult show for her because, that's an insurance liability when you're flying around the world. So after that show, we chose not really to go in that direction anymore. We didn't want to end up being sued because we killed somebody.
Yeah, that usually puts a downer on things. Well, I mean, you did Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
That was my wife's job again. She was over the same company she did the Hudsucker Proxy with. She made the giant baby clothes for the stuff like when they put the Ferrari in the front pocket of the guy and all that stuff. And so that was a big deal. That was a lot of work for her. I was on Batman at that time.
Oh, okay. So Gallagher, like
Gallagher, the comedian,
the stand-up comedian.
He was a crazy man. He would come to us and he would just kind of riff and think of ideas and what if we did fish heads on people and, whatever we could come up with. He was like, he just loved the things that we made for him, and we made a steamroller for him. He had the steamroller, but we had to replace the wheels on it so that
Right.
you could really run people over with it
Oh man.
and not hurt them, obviously. You know.
Yeah.
But so that was fun. It was like being run over by a giant gummy bear.
It's awesome. Denny's all-nighter commercial.
That was fun because we had the whole concept was a regular guy, a leprechaun, a unicorn, and a T-Rex go to Denny's. So we made a unicorn and a T-Rex.
Go.
That were basically big costumes and puppets. We had 15 days to do that project, but
Wow.
we pulled off making it was. If you can find the commercial, it's really a fun commercial, and it was great. Even just puppeteering all night long, overnight, in a real Denny's with a unicorn.
I think Austin's on it.
I'm on it. What year was
Did
it?
Denny's give you guys any free food for it?
When do we do it? Well, we got craft service and catering.
No, but what?
I
What
want
year?
to say that was
Let's see.
2000s and
2013.
9, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't
Oh,
remember.
this was posted in 2013. Okay.
Maybe 2009.
We had one of the greatest fabricators in the entire industry working with us that fabricated the T-Rex for us, Bill Bryan, who was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He
Wow.
created and
Yep, I found it.
that. So
Oh,
I
it sounds like it's ringing a bell.
take him away and do that. So that whole T-Rex, there's not anything sculpted on him. It's all fabricated out of sheet foam and little dots that we glued onto it and all of that. It was a
Wow.
great piece.
That's really cool. Let's
Okay,
see.
actually, I haven't found it. No one has it.
No one has it?
Not that
I
I
thought
can
you said
see.
you found it.
I thought I did, but it was a false
It
alarm.
would be
to
Denny's
somebody.
All-Nighter, I think is what it's called.
Let's see.
See if I can find it. Hold on.
All right, you guys work on that. We are going to deep dive into your other project that you had, or the other website, Rubberware.
Rubberware. Yeah. Rubberware is something we started because people would call us on a Tuesday and say, I need a pig nose by Wednesday. Like, well, I'm not going to be able to pull it out of my butt that fast, but, we could have one at the end of the week. No, we're shooting tomorrow. Okay, so fine. So my wife said, well, we should make prosthetics that, people can buy ready made. And nobody had really done that before.
I found it. Sorry.
There was a company, Wuchi, who had done latex pieces and things like that, but they're really kind of crappy, just latex pieces that are like cardboard.
Right.
So I told her, I said, no, we've tried it before and haven't really been able to find a way to be able to reproduce the pieces consistently and accurately. And then one night, laying in bed, as I thinking about what I do, as I normally do, I thought, hey, what if we did this? What if we made the molds like this and made them out of these materials? That we could potentially do that. So we started with about 40 different pieces that we created and started selling them at the local makeup stores that all were happy to have the pieces. And then that parlayed into what we've got 225 pieces now. We have 40 retailers around the world, and people are buying them like crazy. They're our main source of income these days, just making all these pieces. That's what I was running foam for yesterday. Making more pieces and having our stock. And we decided we didn't want to be the person that sold directly to the public, which is
Right.
why we wholesale them to stores, and they can sell one to a guy in Indiana, that kind of thing. And I don't have to do just that kind of work. I can just produce a bunch of them. It's
Let's see.
going
Fateham says I worked for Adrian Moreau years ago. His work on the well won awards. His partner Judy Chen, I think, says he saved the day on set one day.
I would believe so, because like some of the big films in Hollywood buy them because what was it, one of the Avengers movies, they had to do like 70 aliens a day, and they all
Yeah.
had bald caps on. And we make a piece that's called an occipital lobe that goes on the back of a bald cap to hide the wrinkles that a bald cap makes. Bald caps don't always look that great, and they
Right.
don't have the shape of a back of a shaved head where you can see the occipital lobe and all of that. So we did that, and we were selling them, 70 sets a day to be able to do that stuff. So yeah,
Wow.
it's definitely worth it. I think they're definitely, you need it. You need it now, and you can have it now.
Yeah. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Our typical Werewolf Wednesday piece.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with Werewolf Wednesday.
That's right.
Now
And
this,
there are other people now that are starting to sell pieces and things, and they're all very good. There's some really great. RBFX is a really good, talented guy with beautiful pieces. But they're more big pieces, like it's a full face and whatnot. And so when you
right?
use those pieces, it's obviously that person's piece painted whatever colors you painted it. And with rubberware, you mix and match all these different pieces to create a unique character of your own that doesn't look
Right.
like anybody else did it.
And they blend in for uh they just blend in.
Yeah, like this
That's really
werewolf.
cool.
This werewolf right here is 18 pieces.
Wow.
Mixed and matched, one piece overlapping another. We have like a cheekbone underneath with another cheek over the top of that to give it dimension, and an elongated chin and all these other things that that create a unique character. And then we flocked him with fur with an electrostatic gun. So that's always really a cool effect.
That looks awesome. This one looks really good too.
Oh yeah, I love that. It's awesome.
One of my assistants who used to work for us did that. That's I think that's 11 pieces. A forehead, two different cheeks, a nose, a chin, a neck. She's got a dowager hump in the back. I did a really nice Beauty and the Beast makeup using 23 different pieces, and it was really nice. It looked very much like the ultimate Beauty and the Beast. That's another one of our
The werewolf
pieces.
I think I saw on your page, one of your pages somewhere, the Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, it's in there.
That's really good too. Wow.
Yeah, that's just a forehead and a nose, or leonine brow and nose.
Yeah.
You take those and put the right ears on it, our beast ears, paint it blue, and it's a perfect avatar.
This
I
is a
try
cool
to design
one.
pieces that when you mix and match them, you can create stuff that's recognizable without getting into licensing issues and things like
Yeah.
that. One of
This-
my students, Sheila Bond, did that makeup really great. She does some really wonderful work. Oh, there you can see me doing the beast makeup right there. And so
Okay.
you
Okay.
see all the different pieces that went into making it. The
Oh,
pieces
wow.
up here that kind of look like I'm getting ready to do horns on it are actually cheeks with a chin on top, and then we put horns on that. So
Okay.
if you put them in different places, one of the greatest makeups I ever saw was we have a smile pieces, a sort of a Joker kind of looking thing, and the girl didn't want to use it for that, so she put it on the guy's forehead, and it was this really cool Star Trek alien. But it was upper and lower lips.
Right.
It didn't look like lips. Now it looked like something out of Star Wars or Star Trek even. Oh, there's my wife in the cheeks.
This one?
I was doing the makeup on her for sort of a Baba Yaga piece for Halloween.
Ooh.
Did a nose and a forehead and all of that on it.
Okay, so turtle or parrot?
Bird beak. But you could do a turtle if you wanted to. That again, that's why I like about the versatility of all of our pieces. You can do anything with, and they're pretty darn affordable. The other pieces on the market are all the next closest competitors' pieces are easily twice the cost of our pieces. So, we make them affordable because I wanted everybody to be able to use them, not just specialty people,
Right. And you could always do this with them.
Our long Cyrano nose, and it's like, well, what are we going to do with it? We'll cut it off. That's going to be great.
That's awesome. All right, let's see. I know I've seen the Beauty and the Beast on here somewhere. Oh, actually, I want to talk about it. I love werewolves, as you can see.
Yeah.
This is a film I did in the 80s with Brian James. And we did a basically half man, half mutant cat creature. And this is our insert puppet head so that we could.
That's awesome.
It reminded me kind
teeth
of
rubber and
like the Sleepwalkers movie.
Yeah,
makeup in
but
the
years
Sleepwalkers.
before that, we did this in 87, 88, I think. And it was called The Mutator. It was kind of a fun thing to do. We did it and shot in South Africa in full body creature suit that my friend who helped me build all this stuff, Chris Bergschneider, he actually performed the creature, and it was one of those shows where we did all this stuff for it, and the director was a first time director, and he was afraid. And because he was afraid, he shot around the creature. So when it was shot, it was called Time of the Beast, and we called it Time of the Beast with very little beast in it.
Now, this is a very interesting piece.
Again, I like
love this.
doing weird mashups in my classes, and this was for one of my 4-week prosthetic classes. I wanted to do the moon, and I wanted to have the moon landing on it.
That's awesome. Is this a young you?
That's a young me. That's, well, I would think maybe 93, 94, not quite 94, because 94, I'd cut my hair by then. So
Let's see. I think I'm getting close to. Oh, this is a good one. I like that one too.
that was a demo at one of the makeup trade shows. Might have been Monster Palooza.
Yeah, it says Monster Palooza weekend.
Did rubberware pieces on my friend Pat Jankiewicz. He's an amazing performer. He plays Bigfoot a lot. He's 6'9". He's a big guy.
These are really cool. See, when I first saw these, I thought these were Warhammer.
They're from a video game called Ground Zero Texas. It was one of the first video games that got banned for violence.
Those look really cool.
All I did was the helmet, so. Oh, the picture, wait, stop. The over on the far right, the kind of guard-looking guy. Well, the other side. That was one of the things we did for the Monkey King. He was
okay.
Gate guard for the Emerald Emperor's Palace in Heaven. That was a sculpture I did after we did the show. I did a rendition of it. And then we moved, and it fell apart, and I never got a mold of it.
Oh, no.
So disappointing. That stuff kills me.
Yeah.
That's
this was rather interesting.
Evil Within. Director Andrew Getty, one of the famous Getty family. directed this film, and it's not a bad horror film for a low budget film that took
Yep.
10 or 12 years to make. We did a bunch of stuff, including this human body part spider. We did a 30-foot spider. We did a baked baby. We did all kinds of stuff for that show.
Now this
What
was for the
was
Superboy show.
Superboy, yeah, the late 80s, early 90s.
Mhm.
It's Bizarro from that, and he's become the iconic Bizarro image for Superboy and Superman these days. They even did an action figure of him.
Yep.
what was your so like do you get handed a design from from like the creators of the show to then replicate it, or did you
Sometimes,
design him to look like
sometimes
this?
I get a design. Sometimes they're like, well, this is what we want. I want a lizard woman. Okay, well, they didn't have any preconceived notions of what that would look like, so I do designs. I don't do designs drawing them because I'm not much of a drawer. I do maquettes and sculptural renditions of things because I can do that in a day, whereas it would take me much longer to try and draw it.
So this Bizarro was your creation, like the
Uh, I inherited that show from my dad actually because he was a
oh,
friend of the producer and he did the first version of it and uh, and then sent me to do the applications and whatnot and just kind of handed me the show. So he was brought back for 2 other seasons and I got to remake him and recreate him and do all of that. So that was a lot of fun.
So
wow.
this picture right here would
Yeah,
probably have most of our friends drooling because they would want to raid this.
yeah, six of each color suit and 42 helmets. Uncountable chest emblems and power coins and all that stuff. We had a crew of like 22 people at some point manufacturing all this stuff, and it was really hard because we were married to some fabric that the production that the costume designer had bought in big
Right.
bolts of it and said, okay, this is what we want to use. And so we had to find a way to use that, even though it didn't really work, And the TV show, they're all in spandex, and that's easy. But each one of these suits weighed close to 45 pounds
Wow.
in order to do it the way we had to do it. And it was a lot of work. A lot.
Did you
Absolutely.
guys do just the Power Rangers, or did you do other characters as well
We
for
did
the Power
just
Rangers
the
movie?
Rangers. Other shops were brought in, like
Or
Optic Nerve to do the Vulture, Raven, Crow
the
guys.
Tango? I think they're called Tango Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody did, each shop had their own specialty. They kind of piecemealed this stuff to us. They're like, well, can you make the helmets? Okay, yeah, we can make the helmets. Well, now can you make the suits? Well, yeah, we can make the suits. And well, can you do the boots and the gloves? And it's like, just give us the whole damn thing and we'll do it.
So
Just a month.
Fate Hammer says, Rob, you are a real testament to passion and art. I'm so happy you just haven't even missed a step.
Oh,
This
I
is
missed
the
plenty of stuff.
textbook. This is the textbook definition of do what you love. You are there in the pantheon of makeup gods.
No, thank you very much. I do what I love. It's I can't imagine doing anything else. Like I said in the very beginning, I tried being a dishwasher, I tried being a night janitor, but those were never going to fly with me. This is for a haunted house at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We had a
Oh
month to just
wow!
do a bunch of stuff, and so
Wow.
like, how much could we do?
Chupacabra.
This one, we had one standing in Dracula's coffin, its eyes lit up and all that, and then you'd come around a corner, and we had another one that was on this thing that you'd hold like this and pull a trigger to make the mouth open and shut, and you could lunge it at people as they walked by. It scared the crap out of people. It was
I
a
can
lot of
imagine that thing is beautiful looking.
yeah.
Oh, the evil baby.
Yeah, you got to have a scene where the dead woman's laying there and a baby chewed her head off, and then a guy would come out of the closet with these that they're elastic onto him and coming out of his shirt, and they look like they were holding his shirt, and he would run out and going firing at him. It was a lot of fun. Our werewolf victim.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite pieces. Actually, was the werewolf victim. We did a bunch of people. There was a Texas Chainsaw 2 theme, so we did a lot of pieces with, shredded bodies and chandelier. That was a great chandelier. That was my favorite.
That's awesome.
Wrapped him in twinkle lights and hung him up. Did a pullover mask of Grandpa from Texas Chainsaw. Just so he could be in there too. Plate head from Texas Chainsaw again.
And of course,
chainsaws, rubber chainsaws.
Yeah.
That, had a little squeeze bulb on it where powder would blow out and it would look like smoke exhaust. And then the soundtrack would play. You guys would chase them around. These guys were all in blacklight paint, so they would glow.
Oh.
And we had some people made up to look like that would move around the room dressed in black.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I love black lights and those kind of effects. They're some of my favorites.
Yeah.
God, these are so good.
Do optical effects like that is fun.
Let's see. We will find that Beauty and the Beast. I swear.
Where is
Well,
that?
he wouldn't be on this page, I don't think. He's going to be on probably Rubberware.
Raven, scroll up a little bit.
Yep.
I wanted to ask about this Star Girl. One more, right there.
Oh, yeah.
What is she from?
When we finished Power Rangers, we were sure they were going to sue us because the costumes were difficult to work with. But we wanted to prove to them that we would have done it very differently if we hadn't had to use the fabric that we were given. So we built our own superhero based on Power Rangers-like kind of costume. And this is a really super light foam latex costume on my wife, actually. And we just wanted to show people that it was there. And then Warner Brothers called us and were interested in utilizing it for. They were going to do the Justice League as a weekly series kind of thing, and sort of all the guys living together like angst, and it was. They had their problems and all that. So we did this prototype just to show what we could do.
That's awesome.
And now we've got a project that we've put together that it's called the Vigilante. That if anybody ever wanted to buy it, we'd be happy to do that. There's the beast.
I knew I'd find it.
That's sick.
Yeah, it looked really good. I was really happy with it, and then we flocked it too. So. It had fuzzy fur on its face, and that was great. Fun character.
Again, phenomenal work across the board, all the way, and then you sharing the knowledge on how to, teach people how to do these things is, just carrying on the legacy.
I with this generation, and I think that computers can do a lot, but this is still better for now, better and fewer people, less expensive really, because, you watch some of these films now and you look at their computer departments and it's computer effects by, and there's like 10 different credits for 10 different companies that have 50 or 100 people on their credits and all that, because so many people have to do the work. And Power Rangers, we had 22 people. That was my biggest crew ever. Most of the crews I use are 3 or 4 maybe.
Wow. Well, thanks to Austin, he has found us this.
Look, there's the commercial
for our entertainment purposes.
I had to go all the way to Vimeo.
Yeah. Well.
What a night. Yeah. That show rocked.
Yeah, what you remember of it?
I was mostly awake.
Here you go, guys.
What? I don't have any money.
There you go.
Got anything smaller?
He's like already tiny.
I got it.
She's so into me.
Nobody's into you.
Where'd my tail go?
Shut up. Denny's all night. Good friends, good value.
It's great.
15 days
Those
a
are
night, I spent 10 and a half hours laying on my back, puppeteering the unicorn. Just, I had head turned this way and up and down, and eye blinks and eye movement and lip movement and mouth movement. So I would do all this, and then I had another guy next to me who was inventing the lines. There was no script for his dialogue. He was just say stuff to talk like a stoner dude, And I had to kind of follow him and match that, and it was a great night. I really loved that.
That's
awesome.
So, have there been any projects lately that have like really impressed you that have used special, like the practical effects? Like Romulus, I know they used practical aliens instead of doing the digital ones.
Right.
Werewolves, I think that dropped like December of last year. I believe most of theirs they used a majority of practical effects with their werewolves.
I mean, Terrifier uses nothing but
Yeah.
practical.
Yeah, Terrifier.
Terrifier, yeah.
Right. I think what the work that Todd Masters at Masters Effects is really good. He was doing, and it's some alien invasion show kind of thing they shoot in Vancouver, and he does these headpieces on the alien so that it's their mouth and they're talking and reading the dialogue, but like the eye movement and all of that stuff is all done digitally. So it's a perfect marriage of
Oh wow, okay.
practical and digital. And it would have been too expensive to do all digital and too expensive to do and clumsy to do practical. So by marrying those two things together, it's really done well. This other show that he does where he does Yellow Jackets. I think stuff
Okay.
in Yellow Jackets is brilliant.
Yes.
He did a full moose that's sinking down through the ice, and it's just like it just looks so real. It's just beautiful. I think that our work looks best if you've got a DP and a camera operator that like what we do.
Right.
You got if it's lit right, if it's shot right, and they give you the prep time to do it properly, and you've got a good performer in it, and all that. All these different levels of things you got to hit to make it look great.
Right.
And when that happens, it's really beautiful and wonderful, and it's seamless. You don't even think about that it's an effect. Like Todd's moose sinking through the thing. You just think they probably found themselves a dead moose and and used it. But it's got to have all the parts in place to be perfect.
Right. Everything has to blend together, just right, and to make it like really come to life.
Right. Exactly. If any one person falls down, the seams start to show.
Yeah.
So. And like I said, I like Pixar movies better than anything, so that's about all I watch these days. Oh, okay. Here's a great makeup, practical and everything. Penguin.
Yes.
Series. That makeup is amazing. So, and I know they did some digital work in that, to make that work out. But yeah, Penguin makeup is just stunning.
So
speaking about the Penguin,
sorry,
I was just going to say, speaking about the Penguin, what was your experience working on the Batman Returns?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, sorry.
I was brought in to start making molds for all of the bodysuit stuff for Danny DeVito. So I did some of that. Because he's wearing an awful lot underneath his costume.
Yeah.
We had to design it, so we have to figure out ways to make it lightweight and still move and look natural and all that stuff. So So that was good fun in there. And then they brought me over to finishing, where I did seaming and patching on all the bat suits. The foam castings would have bubbles and things in them, imperfections that they would have me fix. And on the cowls, the suits, Catwoman cowls, and all that. Every time the casting came out, all of the stitches that were sculpted into the Catwoman cowl would have bubbles in them, have little imperfections. So I had to cut all the sculpted stitches off and make new ones, drawing them on with thickened latex and all.
Mhm.
So I had to detail all of that to make it look like it's really sewn. The bodysuit itself was made out of latex and just sheet latex. And if it got a nick or a tear in it, it would just run like a nylon.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't cut it and everything. But her suit has to kind of fall apart and stay in that for the day. When she's
Yeah.
in different stages of it, you can't have it continue falling apart on set. So what they did was they made little applique prosthetics out of more latex that looked like a cut that was stitched and starting to fall apart. And
Oh,
so we
wow.
glue that stuff onto her suit with a little panel of flesh latex behind it. So it looked like her suit was falling apart. The cowl would be sculpted to look like it was coming apart and all of that. And I'd go in and fix all those stitches, and then we'd stitch real thread in it to make it flop around and all of that. So all of the stuff on her is really an illusion. She's wearing good, well, it's a standard number 9 cat suit from the fetish wear catalog. But
I've only got 2 of those.
yeah, but with appliques glued onto the outside of them to make it look like it was falling apart. Well, that was some pretty cool stuff. I liked what everybody did on that show.
So here's just one final question about Batman Returns, because then I want to talk about Terminator. Um, Whenever Michael Keaton rips off the cowl towards the end of that film, was there any special modifications that had to be made to that, or did he just like tear the cowl
Well,
off?
yeah, they would perforate the inside of the foam latex cowl with a bunch of like little tiny slits all around, so that it would tear where they wanted it to tear and all that. And then the biggest thing that nobody ever realizes or thinks about, when you see Michael in the cowl, which wasn't very often, it was mostly a stuntman.
Ruining the illusion. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, stuntman for driving. He had a stuntman for walking upstairs. All of these different things. Anytime there's a wide enough shot, he wasn't in the costume. He was stunt guy. But then when they go into close-ups, where it's this, it's Michael, and his eyes would be blackened out inside. He had black makeup around his eyes to make his eyes look right inside the cowl. And then when
Right.
he tears it off,
It's
his
gone.
eyes are clean. There's no more makeup on his eyes. Nobody sees that stuff.
Well, in the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, they've actually leaned into the eye makeup. So whenever he's not in the cowl, he's got
You
the
could
eye
see that
black
he's
around
got
it.
his
Yeah,
charcoal around there.
yeah.
My biggest problem with Batman Returns is the tiniest little thing that nobody will ever notice except for me. But when he's driving the bat boat thing through the sewers,
Yeah.
and they cut to a close up of him, we usually had like 13 different cowls on set at any given time, to make sure that they had enough to cover themselves in case anything happened. Um, the one shot in the speedboat, that's a super tight shot like this. I see a bubble in the side of his nose. That's not a complete fix. You can see that I started to fix it, but they took a cowl away before it was finished. And that's the cowl they use on set that day. And I'm like, really?
Come on, man.
Man. We
I'm
went
gonna have
through
to.
14 different cowl designs in the movie. From the
Oh,
first
wow.
time they started shooting till up to 2 weeks before, they were redesigning and remaking his cowl. So if you're really amazing, you can see the difference between some of them Maybe his ears are a little shorter. Maybe his nose is a little more hooked. Maybe he's got a little more arch in his brow. But because they had to remake it all the time to satisfy Michael's comfort, um, there were slight variations and differences. And I know we remade his seamless bat cowl mold at least 14 times.
Wow.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna go back and watch that movie. I want to see these differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is you probably won't. I don't really even see differences, but except for that one little bubble in his nose.
I'm gonna go look for
Except
the bubble.
Yeah. I want to see that. Yeah.
And because that was my job to fix, that's why I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what what was your input, or what was your duties on Terminator 2?
They called me because they were having foam latex problems. They were not getting proper curing of the foam, which has to bake out for a certain amount of time, and it was taking way too long to cure the pieces, and it wasn't doing what it's supposed to do. So they brought me in as the foam latex specialist, and I came into that department. Plus, their head foam latex person was off for 2 weeks, so they wanted to bring me in and try and fix this problem. I found out that on about day 3 that because they had just moved into their facility, the electrician had hooked up the oven backwards, and they weren't heating the oven; they were heating the shop.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
That must have made a lot of people very uncomfortable.
So once that got fixed, that was all right. It was going to be a 2-week gig. I think I only stayed at 1 week because I got a show. I got the Mutator show in South Africa that I had to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but while I was there, I got to work on. We cast what we call the Pretzel Man, which is where he gets blown up in the end, and he's that big C-shaped,
Yep.
thing, and falls into the molten metal. Casting the donut head where he gets shot in the eye, and it's just a big hole through his head and things like that. So I did a bit of that, ran a couple of battle scarred Terminator heads, that kind of thing in foam. But that was it. Very short, very quick. I was surprised that I got credit, but I used to babysit Stan Winston's kids when they were little. So and I was still a teenager. So I guess he felt loyalty or what have you. It was the only time I ever worked there, but it was good fun, and I'm glad I got a credit on it. Most of the stuff I did didn't get credited. I have no credit on Batman Returns. I have no credit on Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, I was my own damn department, and I didn't get credit.
Yeah,
Wow.
Ghostbusters actually does not show up on your IMDb, but Batman Returns and Terminator 2 both show up.
Interesting.
They do say uncredited though. But another one that was uncredited was Donnie Darko, which is one of my personal favorite films.
Well,
then
then
tell
you're
me
going to
you
hate what
sculpt.
I have to tell you about that.
Go ahead, tell me, lay it on
My
me.
best friend Dale Brady was the one who brought me in to sculpt the Donnie Darko mask, and he comes in with a basically napkin sketch and says, "This is what the director wants," and I'm like, "Really? Okay." So I start sculpting it and everything, and I'm like, "This is just ridiculous. This looks like Bugs Bunny skeleton on acid or something." Like, this is just, and I'm sculpting it, and I'm telling Dale, I'm like, is this really what they're loving it? They love the pictures they're seeing. I'm like, well, what's his costume going to be? Oh, it's going to be a big fur bunny suit, and I'm like,
Okay.
and so to this day, it's still the silliest thing I've ever had to sculpt.
That's
and
but what you're
people love it and think it's great, and I'm like, okay, fine.
I mean,
That's
it's some of the
life.
silliest things you work on, but I mean, it's a really good sculpt, and I mean, it's creepy, and the use of it in the movie is really poignant, and it's a great film,
And
After I
just
finished sculpting it, Dale took it over. I took it back to his place. and they wanted the eyes to be, of all things, a little goofier and the teeth a little goofier than what I did. I did it a little more real, a little more interesting for my, tastes. And
So
so when I delivered the sculpture, Dale ended up modifying it more to what the director wanted. Okay, fine, have at it.
well, your work is immortalized on Alberto. He has a tattoo of Frank the Bunny.
Ah, good. Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them actually. I met the guy who played it at one of the Monster Paloozas, and very nice guy. But I just had to tell him that I thought it was just insanely crazy and whatnot. And he's like, "Oh, well, it was great. We really loved it." I'm like, thanks.
Okay.
That makes me happy because now I know you're not going to say this was the silliest thing because this is a movie I like. What can you tell me about the Mario movie?
That was the
Because
next one I was going to ask about.
Yes,
think
I
the
love
work
that
that I
movie.
did on Mario was cool as shit. I
Yes.
thought killing Koopa was a neat bit, and I was so disappointed at how little you see what we did.
Yeah. I
Right.
wish there would have been more because it was so
We did
well done.
weeks worth of work for 13 seconds for the film.
Mm.
That's interspersed with some really crappy CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that our puppets that we did look really cool.
Yeah, they do. It hurts to know we'll probably never see like figures and stuff of that
Years. So, yeah,
because it's a classic.
yeah. I didn't care much for the movie. I thought that the Yoshi puppet was brilliant. The
Yeah.
guys that did
Yeah.
that was Mike Elizalde and Dan Nelson and things like that did really beautiful work for that. I think that Makeup Effects Labs did fun stuff with the Goombas.
Yeah.
All that stuff was fun. I think that we all did some of the best work of our careers for a movie that didn't quite make it right.
And that's what I love about that movie. It's just that you can tell the work everyone put into it. That there was still a lot of love put into it, even if, like you said, it didn't pan out like Nintendo might have wanted it. I still think, looking back, there's so much love put into it.
Yeah. I even liked the prosthetic we did on Dennis Hopper. I thought that looked pretty fun, and then his next stages where it was the human stage, and then the final puppets and stuff. Yeah, my friend James Rowland painted it for me and did some beautiful, beautiful work. And actually, two of the stages were sculpted by Patrick Tatopoulos, who was the designer on the film already. So he brought me in, and my friend Bud McGrews, that I've known since high school. I brought him on the Mutator show that I had, and I said, I need somebody to make eye blink mechanisms for me. And he was like, oh, I don't know. Like, look, RC cars, all this stuff. This, how to do it. You can do
You
it.
can do it.
And he was like, I don't know. And he just didn't have the bravado at the time to really do it. And I said, look, I don't care if it doesn't work. Just do it. And that made him go, well, if you don't care if it doesn't work, then I'll happily try. And that started him, and he had a great career doing all that stuff, including the Mario stuff. He did most of the animation stuff for Wink in Hellboy. He did
Wow.
he did most of the mechanical stuff for Teddy in AI, the little teddy bear character
Yeah.
that went around and stuff. He did that. I mean, he became he was known as the head guy for many years because you wanted a head that had 17 servos in it and moved like it was real. He was the guy to call. So feel very proud of that he became somebody. He's
So
still
real quick,
somebody. He just doesn't work a lot now because that kind of work doesn't get done a lot anymore.
Yeah, since I know one of the
Such a
last ones
shame.
was Predator, because I think they did it for Prey. They had a head that had the moving parts.
Right.
so for
Which-
the audience, here is the Ghostbuster work.
And then can we talk about Tremors, by the way?
Yes, that was going to be my next one.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry for jumping the gun. This is incredible.
Yeah.
That I didn't make that mold. That was made by Gunnar Ferdinandson and Rich Ruiz, who were the mold department on the show. But that mold was several thousand pounds.
I
It
can
was a
imagine.
big mofo.
And then
The
Slimer.
f-
This
the
is all
fact you did all of this and it's uncredited is wild.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of different designs and stuff before he coming up with the final look.
What did the back of your Slimer look like? Because that's something you never saw in the film.
Not much different than what the front belly area looks like and all of that. He did have a bit of a butt on him, but that was all. Oh, there's Bill.
Yeah, that's what you want to know, Austin. I knew it.
The head,
That-
hands, and feet are foam latex. The rest is all fabricated sheet foam. The thing about that is the backside of him couldn't be filmed because in order to eliminate any seams so you didn't see any seams in the fabrication, they would stretch foam over it and gather it all to the backside.
Oh.
And that
And,
way
like,
the
pinch
front
it.
was all pristine and perfect, but the back had big wrinkly foam stump coming off of it. And so they did
Wow.
6 different versions of it depending on which angle you were shooting from. You know, if they were shooting them from the back, they had a suit that was all gathered up in the front. And, you know, one side it would be gathered to the other side. And all that. Bill is an amazing guy. He did a lot of stuff for like Men in Black. He pioneered making monsters out of plastic bags. So you could just
Wow.
inflate them with a fan and it would be clear and all this stuff. It was just brilliant. It's an amazing.
Rob, do you still use Hydrocal or has a new challenger appeared?
Hydrocal is something that I use mostly for my original life casting because it's easy to tool and it's more for disposable stuff. This is Ultracal, and Ultracal is still pretty much used. You know, they've moved on a lot to epoxies and polyurethanes and whatnot, but for cost effectiveness and lack of toxicity, it's much better. Ultracal is very user friendly. Those are our display heads for the Mario Brothers stuff.
Those are
Yeah.
insane.
I was looking at this before the show.
James Rowland behind us with who was the painter, and Joe Caldwell was my assistant on the show. Those are all of our molds and everything we did to make those characters.
And that's a shame because that is such incredible detail
Yes.
work for 13 seconds. And had
Right.
those been given 2 to 5 minutes, like minimum, it would have changed everyone's impression of the film.
Yeah.
I think
At
that
least you get to see cool
again,
monsters.
if they had just filmed twice as much. Thing is about that show is the day I arrived on set, which was toward the very end of production, the directors quit.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
So Dean Semler, the DP, directed us through the whole last 2 weeks of the shoot. You know, and so we were all directed by the DP and had a good time doing it. But you know, it was a very troubled production.
Yeah.
And this is your laboratory?
That's the Filthy Lab, yes. That's before I got to go back in and do some cleanup job and everything. But you know, you see my Cowardly Lion in the back and
Yep.
my Tin Man. I've got a project that I'm working on that is, what if Dorothy never showed?
Oh.
damn! I like that. I like that.
If she never went to Oz, what happens to everybody?
Yeah.
You know, the Wicked Witch of the East isn't crushed. The Tin Man never gets unfrozen. The Cowardly Lion never finds his courage. The Straw
Scarecrow
Man
never gets
still
a brain.
hanging from his post. You know.
Yeah.
So everything changes. Everything changes if Dorothy doesn't go to Oz.
So this is the Catwoman cowl.
That's one of them in process. Yeah, you can see where I had to punch holes and the chin strap didn't really fit where they wanted to, so I had to kind of readjust that and all that, and draw in all the stitches in black latex that ended up being painted white.
There it
Like
is.
that. Finished cowl with custom stitching. In this picture, you can see the appliques that are glued around
Yeah.
her knees and things. You can see
Yeah.
that it's glued on a little duller, little skin patch glued in behind it. And that was my
Iconic
feeding room
cowls.
patching. That's where I fixed all the suits and all of that. We weren't allowed to have cameras or any of that kind of stuff. So, I would sneak my camera in a duffel bag kind of deal. That's all
And
the
then,
suit stuff that went on to Danny DeVito. It's thighs and a crotch piece. It's a big belly. It's two big pectoral pieces. It's a shoulders and all of that that kind of pinned his arms down against his sides.
that's crazy.
Mm.
So on to Tremors.
That was
Tell us
another
about Tremors.
where I was brought in to save the day in foam latex because nobody knew how to do that big amount. I was used to working with 20-quart mixers and whatnot from my other shows like Ghostbusters and whatnot. But on Tremors, um, the worm head itself, just that, was a mold that was almost 7 feet in diameter and 6 feet tall. And
Wow.
we got 5 20-quart mixers, and I would inject that all around the base and fill it up. We had injector holes going all the way up the mold. When one hole would start to fill up and start to leak out, I'd move my injector up to that hole and fill it up some more and all that. It took 14 20-quart mixers to fill just the worm head itself.
Wow.
And then we did tentacles and all that stuff as well. So I was only on that show for 2 weeks because I went in, cast everything, and got out. It was not the kind of thing where you had to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it like on the thing where we had to do 30 of the Norris heads.
Mm-hmm.
Just we'd do 30 of those. I had almost 20 of them made, and we went away for the weekend and came back, and the mechanical guys had taken them, literally all of them, to test their mechanics with. And every time one would tear, they just pull it off and get a new head and put it on. So I had like close to 20 heads ready to go
Holy shit.
for painting and everything. And I come in on Monday and there's no more heads left. And so we had to run them all over again. So it was one of those things where you just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. Botine was very stickler about making sure everything had zero imperfections, had to be perfect. And so even if something had a little thing over here that was going to be under a wig or something, nobody'd ever see it or know it. No, not good enough. Have to do it again. He came from the
Wow.
Rick school of perfection, and everything had to be that.
Right.
So that show lasted, 5 months for me, but something like Tremors, which is a huge thing, 2 weeks, in and out.
What would you say is the longest one you had to do? Was the thing 5 months? What was the
I think
longest?
the thing and Ghostbusters were probably right around between 4 and 5 months of work. Ghostbusters was because, we had the Terror Dogs, we had Slimer, we had Stay Puft, we had the arms that come out of the chair and grab her and all of that stuff. So, it was a lot of things to have to do for that show.
So Zach brings up something. So Danny DeVito has a story about a monkey ripping the crotch out of the penguin suit on set. Were you there that day?
I never heard it.
Okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
I remember that interview, and he was talking about how, when he was wearing the suit, that one of the live monkeys on set would it it had a bad day or something, and
Which
it went after his crotch, and it started biting and scratching and tearing. And Danny DeVito was like freaking out, because it's right at his junk, but the suit
He was
saved
at
him
least
basically.
buried in about 6 to 8 inches of polyurethane foam.
Yeah, he said that's what saved his ass was that suit. So not only are you an amazing creator, you are a lifesaver to Danny DeVito.
Save
Well,
generations.
that was
Yep.
one of the great things about wearing a creature suit. Like I wore a creature suit fighting Superboy in the Superboy TV series. I remade the mutator suit as this other creature in one of the episodes. And Superboy had a tendency to hit it when he's fighting it. And I'm wearing an animatronic head and all of that. And it's held in place with a helmet inside that basically is riding on the bridge of my nose.
Oh,
And so he would hit that head, and it nearly broke my nose. I'm like, oh. So you've got an outtake of, he hits the creature, and the creature's like, time out. Time out. You can't hit this thing for real,
this is bullshit.
But a couple of times he hit me, and I went down, and it's a good thing the suit was pretty darn thick, so it was super great that whenever I fell, I always fell in padding and whatnot. So that's the greatest thing about a practical creature suit.
Yeah.
You can jump off things and fall off things and not get hurt.
That's awesome. I mean, you're covered in foam, so
Yeah.
But the riding on the nose, especially, I mean, I know foam's not that heavy, but I'm sure it can feel heavy after wearing it for a while.
Fiberglass underskull that's full of
Yeah.
servos and mechanics and cables and all that stuff. So I'm going to say the head was probably about 15 pounds total.
Good Lord.
But
yeah.
Hey, I got a SAG card out of it. What do you want?
There it is.
That was some of the greatest nights. I wore it 2-3 nights on set, and it was, some of the most fun I ever had.
That's awesome.
Until he hit me in the face,
Yeah. Then it's like, okay. Slow it down. Slow your roll, actor. Come on now.
Well, he was a method,
Yeah. I have to interact. No, you don't. Really, you don't.
Pull your punch, man.
Yeah. So, has there been any projects in your head or that you've seen that maybe not have come to fruition, like the Monkey King one, that you would dreamed of working on?
Well, I was pretty pissed off when Peter Jackson did The Hobbit because I wanted to direct that myself. When I was in high school growing up and things, I'm like, I even started doing plans to do that in my early 20s and thought, I would really love to do this. And, some unknown guy that nobody ever heard of ends up directing it. And, but that was sort of my dream project. When I got on the Monkey King, that would have been the next one for me. I didn't know anything about it before, but once I got involved with it, the possibilities were so incredible. They do so much really neat stuff.
And there's so much story behind that one.
Tremendous amount. It was something I would have really loved, and I wish that it hadn't fallen apart the way that it did, but the producers on it were a little underhanded. I think they were a little, Chinese
shady
related, and I just was not a comfortable thing. And so not having done it, I mean, it would have been like a year and a half in China doing this project, and I would have loved to have done that. I spent a good amount of time in China working on a film called Bethune. For my dad, I did 3.5 months in little villages in the backcountry up in the middle of nowhere. And just, it was an incredible place, but it was also probably the hardest location I'd ever been on. It was a lot of effort, and people were getting dysentery left and right, and we had problems getting fresh water and good food and all of that. It was crazy, but in the end, I grew up a lot. I was 24 years old, and thought this is amazing, and toward the end of it, all I wanted to do was go home.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in the long run, I grew up a lot on that film.
Yeah. It was definitely a good learning experience to kind of open your eyes to the more, I guess, darker side of what you do.
Well, yeah, to know how hard it can really be. It was like a
Yeah.
boot camp for me, And our lead, the actor, was Donald Sutherland, and very interesting man, I will say. But he was not a happy person. The character he was playing was not a happy person, and he's a very method actor. So he was not the easiest to get along with. But in the end, you don't see any of my work in the movie either. So I did 3.5 months for mostly nothing, other than my experience, and the experience
Right.
was great. I talked about it for 10 years. I didn't. It was what I call an experience over which you don't usually get.
Right. I mean, those life lessons come at you, whenever you don't expect it. So Trippin says, noticing your T-shirt, are you a G.I. Joe fan?
Yeah, absolutely. Though I'll say my first love of toys was Marx's Best of the West, Johnny West. His the Gold and Silver Knights, all of this stuff. If you don't know what they are, look them up. They're the most incredibly detailed, hard vinyl characters, and you see stitching in their boots and all of that stuff. It's so well done, and that led me, shortly after that, all of a sudden, GI Joe, who was much more mobile and all of that. So, if I probably would have never grown up and just played with GI Joes for the rest of my life, given the choice.
I think there's a company out there that got the rights to the Best of the West, and they've redone the toy line for it.
They are doing duplicates and things out of Mexico, I think.
Yeah.
And I've seen those. I've got most of. I've rebought most of the originals that I've had over time, but yeah, that's the kind of my pride and joys of my collection. Their
Johnny
horses,
West. Let's
dogs,
see.
and their ranches, and I mean, they were great stuff.
Yeah, being able to world build out of them.
Yeah, 12-inch action figures are the way to go. When they stopped making 12-inch action figures, I just went nothing.
I'm done.
G.I. Joe became this big. I'm like, yeah, who cares?
Well, I mean, you can always dive into Hot Toys. Those are 12-inch scale.
Yeah.
So, but those are expensive.
Yeah, I collect the things that I had when I was a child,
Yeah.
because I feel like what was that movie, Somewhere in Time, where if you have enough of everything that was there when you were a kid, you could go back in time.
Yeah.
I always liked the Indian in the cupboard. I always wanted to have that cupboard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Of course, some of the figures I have, I don't think I would want to put in that cupboard because it would be terrifying. But it would still be, little Michael Myers running around chasing me. That'd be horrible.
I think my favorite of the modern toys are. I've got a pretty good selection. I've got King Arthur and all the Knights of the Round Table from Holy Grail, Monty Python.
Yes.
From was it Showscan or Showtime Toys? Anyway, I really love those. Those are kind of my pride and joys.
Is it Sideshow?
Sideshow, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're great pieces. I saw that movie when I was 14 on the big screen, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I had gone
I-
to see a different movie that was an absolute piece of crap, and the woman that was with us, it's just like, well, let's stay and watch the next movie because that's what she wanted to watch. I'm like, no, that last movie was crap. Let's go. And she's like, no, let's just stay in. We'll watch 5 minutes, and if it's not any good, we can leave. And then all of a sudden, he comes up.
Yes, the coconuts.
It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Oh, man. I try to make a Monty Python shot at least once a year. This year I did the rabbit, like the killer rabbit. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the toys they have nowadays are absolutely phenomenal. You know,
I have a few of the McFarlane toys because they were movies that I worked on.
yeah.
But and the killers, the serial killers set of toys and everything, where it's got Madame Bathory and
Oh yeah. The
Sputum.
movie Maniac ones.
Yeah, the movie Maniac
Yeah.
one. I've got
Oh yeah, those are great.
a
So-
set of the Yellow Submarine Beatles toys too.
Nice.
Yes. I have a little Hot Wheel car, like a little Hot Wheel of the Yellow Submarine.
Oh, that's great.
So you worked on The Howling too.
My uncle did that show, and
Okay.
I can't remember what I was coming off of. Might have been Ghostbusters. Yeah, coming off of Ghostbusters. I went over to work for him for a little while, and we did Howling 2 and Clan of the Cave Bear together.
Okay.
And then when they did, like I did lab work and stuff, there were some really great sculptors, people in there. And then when they went to location in Romania to shoot, I was stuck here. I couldn't leave. I had other obligations, so I didn't go to Romania to do the shoot or anything. But I got to work on the pre-production stuff a bit.
Yeah, because NECA just dropped their Howling werewolf figure.
Love this thing.
Yeah, they're
I got-
finally going back and doing the classic horror movies.
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see more of those. But we are at
I've
the
got one more
2 hour
question.
Mark.
Give me
Go
one
ahead.
more.
No answer.
No, dang it, sorry. I just want to know what your involvement on the Jackass movie was. That was the
You
final
beat
one
me. I
on
was
the
gonna
list.
say, yeah.
We all took bets on
Incredibly
what-
little. I worked in the shop for Tony Gardner for one day, and then I was on set for one day. But I got to do, along with my friend James Rowland, who I've talked about, we did Ryan Dunn's makeup.
Oh,
Okay.
right on.
His old age makeup for the end.
Figured it was one of the old age
Yeah.
suits.
And that was fun because well, we got there and everybody's starting their makeup on everybody, and Ryan's not there yet. So
Oh,
they had to send production to go to his hotel room and take off the door and wake him up because he'd been out drinking the night before.
No,
So he
not
comes into
him.
the trailer and sits down, and we we're doing the old age on him and things like that. And after a while, he starts to wake up enough to get into it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, can we do ear hair? I want to do ear. Oh, and nose hair. That'd be great." That's totally into that. Was happy doing that, and it was fun. And then sitting around on set, I got to watch. Who's the crazy one with himself tattooed on
Steve-O?
his back?
Steve-O.
Steve-O.
Yeah.
I got to watch him staple his nuts to his thigh in front of the
Yeah,
supervisor.
that's definitely something to see on set. Like, what the
That's a
hell?
moment. I got to say, a moment.
Well, on that note, I'm leaving. Thanks, guys.
Please.
Yeah.
But
But,
yeah, I just got to do the 2 days on that because they had such a huge crew of people. They
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure they had enough people. So I wasn't needed the next day. And I'm like, okay, fine. That's cool.
I saw some guy get his nuts stapled to his thigh. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a part of this anymore. Thanks.
Yeah, everything you ever wanted to see, I saw it.
And a little more.
Quite a few things you don't want
It must have been crazy working on that set. I mean, even for a day.
those guys are like that.
Mhm.
They're not just
Yeah.
like that for camera.
No,
They're
no,
like
no.
that. There was no
Yeah.
camera on Steve-O when he did this. You know, it wasn't like for a gag or something. They were just like that all the time, no matter what you were doing.
Yeah, they were definitely some hardcore crazy people.
Yeah.
But all right, so we are at the 2 hour mark
Holy cow!
into
Good
the
one.
show.
Most of these are only an hour, and I'm like, I got so much more to say.
Well,
Go ahead.
we'd love to bring you back on
Yeah, sure.
at
Anytime
some time.
you guys
Definitely.
want, be happy to. We'll talk about something else.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe we'll bring you on the toy show. We can talk old GI Joes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Go ahead, promote anything that you want. Promote your websites, what you have coming up in the future, how people can find you, where they can sign up for your classes, and
All the
possibly get
scrolling
into
that
your
you've been doing underneath is all of that stuff, and that's great. My Rob Burman's laboratory classes. The nice thing about that is, just about any time you want to take one, I can schedule one.
Oh wow,
Most of
okay,
my classes, and this is what attracts a lot of people. Most of my classes have been one-on-one, maybe two-on-one. Where I only have a couple of students at most, and so people get to have a week with me learning how to do this stuff. And you know that's my main thrust right now, except for my art. Obviously, I love making my art, but and you can find that at different galleries in Vancouver and Sun Valley, Idaho, whatnot. But I like to teach. I really love doing it, and I love watching a person's eyes light up with understanding. Like, I get it now, and it's the kind of thing you're going to learn more than what you are on online or in a book or any of that stuff,
right.
because you have somebody here that's helping you to understand it.
Instead of just talking at you, you're talking with them.
I'm here. I'm here all the time, so it's not like I can't just do one person in class if I want.
It's amazing.
Any time of year except for like June and July when I'm in Europe. And I do classes up there, so or in Vienna. And,
There you go. Okay, you're back.
oh, I was here the whole time. You went away.
Yeah.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, it was you
That's
because we all
awesome.
heard him.
Ha ha.
Damn it. Okay. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch everything.
So, yeah, anytime anybody wants to learn how to do this stuff, I know a really good guy that can help them.
Outstanding.
Keep that in mind. For sure.
All right. So, lights. Go ahead, throw out what you need.
Nostalgia Bait, Friday. Sorry, this was also incredible. Nostalgia Bait Friday, we'll be talking for real this time about the Blair Witch Project's marketing and websites and everything that they did back then in the 90s. I've got a giveaway going on my main account, Warhammer game and a custom Savage Crucible figure, and just follow me, follow Amp Toys as well. That's all I've got. Gold member.
First off, it was great having you on. This is wonderful. And the one thing I wanted to say was I am so grateful you do the classes, that you keep this art alive for future generations. That's wonderful.
Definitely.
That is wonderful. As far as promoting my stuff, same as usual. Gold member 150, and then my toy collab page, The Devil's Toys. We should have a new collab coming pretty soon, hammering out the details. YouTube channel, Gold member 150, and I think that's about it.
Sounds like
Fate Hammer had one more comment. Rob, just thank you for all you've done. I'll forever whisper your name when pneumonia is added.
God forbid.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was a pleasure, for real.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think you probably opened up a lot of people in the chat's eyes, and whoever else watches this, to exactly what goes on behind the scenes with crew design, makeup design, and all that. And hopefully people, break out of that shell and come to you and learn from the
Yeah.
best.
I hope so too. I should guess that you can tell that I love to talk about myself and my stuff. So
Oh, we love talking about it as
always
well.
thrilling too. It
Yeah.
sounds like fun.
So,
This was
yeah, everybody in chat, thanks for joining us. Remember to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell.
share
We
it.
will
Share
see
the
you
video.
guys. Yes, definitely share it out. We will be back next Monday for Ravens Cross Sands. Next Tuesday for another Devils and Ravens. Go check out my link tree for all the other shows, toy related and whatnot. Lazy Boys is coming back Friday, so be on the lookout for that one. It should be a really special episode, especially having all them back and doing their thing, sharing, the toy community photos and things like that. And also start checking out Night Frights LA and HorrorCon LA, because we will be there this summer.
Yes.
September 20th and 21st. We will be representing Signal Magazine at the HorrorCon and at the Night Frights LA. So if you're in the area and you feel
Come
like
check it out. Come
diving
meet
into
us.
some
Come
horror,
hang out.
come check
Maybe
it
I'll
out.
have
Yeah.
to come by and meet you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
So
If not, we will hunt
would
you
it
down.
would it be possible to maybe tour your
Laboratory?
workshop, your laboratory?
I can't see why not. Happy to.
That'd
Maybe
be
at least
great.
clean when you come.
Yeah, if not, I'll
No,
clean
we
it
want it
for free.
dirty. Other than that, if you wouldn't mind hanging out for a little bit after the show ends, just talk about a couple things. And that, everybody, thanks for joining us. Have a good night, and we will see you next week.